right behind these white doors, there is still a line of voters waiting for their turn. We followed the signs that say vote no. Employees have already boarded up the area, but you can still see chunks of wood and a little bit of debris from where this pole behind me was knocked down. Firefighters pried open the roof of this black SUV you see right behind me. Coming out and finding his lawn looking like this was very common. Frustrated viewers in Lacey Lakeview have also called in saying, hey, we're still out of power as well. And I'm still seeing people making their way in here. I've seen them walking in with Target ads like this. That's when the case got much bigger. In fact, council will need at least a 3/4 vote in order for the permit on the facility to be passed. Coming up at 10, we will have their final decision. Live in Waco, Danielle Skinner, News Channel 25.
If we start euthanizing animals in 72 hours without working with some of these groups of people, Waco, Texas will have another black eye.
Tonight, animal rights supporters said the Humane Society isn't going down without a fight. Animal rescue groups, Humane Society workers, pet owners, and their animals came forward and demanded the city allow the shelter to continue its adoptions. They brought their signs too.
We're the animals' voices. They don't have a voice. My dog is like my child, and he means the world to me, and I can't stand to think of them killing them within 72 hours.
The city of Waco had plans to take over the shelter's operations. They would keep stray or abandoned animals for 72 hours. If the animals weren't adopted or found by their owners, they would be killed.
We are here to let you know your proposal for the takeover and the closing the shelter to adoptions is not acceptable.
Denise Reinker is an animal rescuer and trainer. She started a petition on change.org that has over 2,000 signatures.
Right now, Wacoans have a very bad taste in their mouth for the shelter.
In this petition, she demands the city allow more time for pets to get adopted and build a new shelter.
If this ever happens, I will bawl my eyes out. What a wonderful thing for the animals and for the people of Waco to have a brand new animal center.
It's still unclear where the city stands, but whatever happens, the people of Waco are saying something's gotta give.
We voted them in, and they need to go by our wishes. We don't want this thing to stop. And they need to tell us what their plans are, like they said in there, you know?
Now, Mayor Malcolm Duncan Jr. assured everyone tonight at the meeting that negotiations are still in the works between the Humane Society and the city. Nothing is set in stone yet. Danielle Skinner, News Channel 25. This Army sergeant is pretty riled up.
I will fight this case until I can no longer fight this case. I will do whatever it takes.
Sergeant Richard Quarter plans on hitting the BBG phone company hard this time. The lawsuit involves more soldiers, and he's done his math.
Knowingly rip off soldiers like that when you're charging $41 for 4 seconds, that averages out to $615 a minute, and that is unacceptable.
Quarter says the company doesn't show what they charge on the actual payphone. He didn't know about the fees until a huge bill ended up in his mailbox.
We risk our lives on a daily basis, and they're going to rip us off? Why?
I wanted some answers too, so I called the phone company, got receptionist after receptionist, and still no one would comment. And that's when the case got much bigger. In fact, Sergeant Quarter says it's not about the money, it's about soldiers being taken advantage of. Before the lawsuit, Quarter's lawyers tried to work things out with BBG, but had no luck.
We're asking, take care of our troops. Don't swindle them. We have sent letters demanding that they stop. Demanding that they leave our troops alone. They've refused, thus we have to drag them into court.
Quarter hopes even more soldiers will support the class action suit. In Fort Hood, Danielle Skinner, News Channel 25.
Danielle, the family plans on pressing charges against that officer.
The young man's family and an Austin civil rights group are taking this to court and protesting, Ann, in hopes that they get the justice they want for Terry Cox. Dozens of loved ones gathered in downtown Temple for hours for Terry Ray Cox.
It is unjustifiable, and we need justice for Terry.
That the family is seeking answers for a shooting that took the life of one of their own.
That was my best friend. Like, I talk to him about anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I ain't got nobody to talk to.
Back in December of last year, Officer Gary Smith pulled Cox over for an expired tag. Temple police say Cox drove off with Officer Smith's arm stuck in the door. Smith fired shots into his black SUV before it crashed here. Cox suffered a gunshot wound in the head and died a week later, leaving a daughter, wife, siblings, and a broken-hearted mother behind.
My son, my son, my son. They said they were going to murder him.
Cox's mother says Officer Smith threatened her son's life, which is why he sped away. Officer Smith was put on paid administrative leave while Temple PD and the Texas Rangers investigated. A grand jury looked at dash cam video of the incident, but no billed that officer, deciding there wasn't enough evidence to indict him. Now the Royal Society of Civil Rights, a nonprofit group from Austin, is helping the family press charges.
The public needs to understand this is deeper than what they are actually seeing or reading in the papers or seeing on the news.
So went up to the car, he was calling him all kinds of N-words and told him that he'll never amount to nothing.
With a team of lawyers, the family wants to pursue criminal and civil charges against police.
We're not going to settle for this. We're going to stand up and fight back against it, whatever it takes.
Danielle Skinner, News Channel 25. 200 Fort Hood soldiers made it back home from Iraq just in time for Christmas. I'm Danielle Skinner. To begin our evening on a happy note, troops from the 3rd Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division were greeted by family and friends despite drizzling rain this morning. The brigade rolled across the Iraq border into Kuwait about a week ago. There are still about a dozen soldiers from the brigade that are still overseas. The search is on in Fort Myers, Florida. Police say a man was shot to death in this small parking lot and the shooter is still on the loose. It happened at the Edison Mall Friday night before 9 o'clock. Witnesses say the suspects were in a gray car and came up behind the victim and started shooting. Police say there were more than 100 shell casings at the scene. There was another man with the victim, but he was not hurt. Coming up on the Texas Report, it's that time of the year to light up that fire to warm up your home. Well, we'll show you why it's very important to make sure your chimney is clear and not just for Santa.